Well, this is the A ring, and here is an object that is self-luminous, obviously artificial, larger than our moon. It seems to be moving all around throughout the rings of Saturn among the moons of Saturn. And Saturn's got a couple of dozen moons. This object here, as I said, larger than our moon, moving all around, apparently under intelligent control in the rings of Saturn. Now, try for a moment, if you can, to imagine a kind of a technology that is capable of constructing something larger than our moon, that's artificial, that moves around wherever it wishes to go, that's probably got several thousand guys inside. That is shocking to some people. Next picture, please. Here you have another self-luminous, artificially constructed object, circular in shape, larger than our moon, that is also moving here, there, and everywhere throughout the rings of Saturn and among the moons of Saturn. You know, there's got to be intelligence aboard. But this is the one that really blew the NASA people on the Voyager program out of the water. This object, this is an object, guys, is 2,000 miles long. It's 400 miles in diameter, and it's an artificially constructed, Norman calls them an electromagnetic vehicle. He says they appear to be making the rings. This is one of the rings of Saturn. I think this is the B ring. Bergman says he thought they were probably making the rings. I said, Norman, do you ever consider the possibility they may be mining the rings? Because I think the rings are probably rich in nutrients, minerals probably, and an incredibly advanced civilization, I think, would work out some system of mining those rings for all the minerals that are up there and utilizing them. Because space is filled with wealth, energies of all kinds. They'd never have to dig another hole in the ground like we do down here. Space is filled with energy. This is 2,000 miles long, and here on this end there seems to be something like an exhaust or a flare of energy of some kind that is probably a result of engines of some type inside this thing. But whatever it's doing, it's there, and it's a recognition and a representation of an advanced intelligence. And that's one of the things they don't want you to know, that we are confronting and relating with an intelligence that's so far beyond our own. We're looking at and talking about what's known as a type 2 civilization. Now, for your own interest, I suspect most of you suspect this, but you are all members of a 0-0 type civilization. Beyond us, hopefully in a century or two, we might become a type 1. But this is the representation of a type 2 civilization. And Michio Kaku, the famous Japanese-American physicist in New York, has put out this concept about types 0, 1, 2, 3, and 4 of the kind of advanced cultures and civilizations we will probably meet out there. Well, in probably meet out there, we've already met them. They're here. They're in our midst. So, I think I brought about 15 or 20 of these pictures, but I simply had no time. I don't have the time to show them all. This is a photograph taken by our Mariner space vehicle that we launched back a number of years ago. This is a picture of a facility on the surface of Mars. Now, this facility is located on the equator, and it's on the surface. And those of us who've studied it, and we discuss it with each other, we call it the airport. And I said, this is the parking lot, This is the administration building here. This is the main terminal here. And I imagine it's a pretty busy facility, you know, ships coming and going. But it's not an airport, it's very likely a spaceport. And it's on the surface and it's on the equator of Mars. And if you're ever interested in launching a vehicle from a planet, you put it on the equator and you take advantage of the rotation of the planet to assist in the launching of your vehicle. So you can take the momentum of the movement of the planet and it helps you get the thing off the ground. So it's exactly on the equator, it's on the surface, and it's massive in size. So maybe that is the parking lot, I don't know. Maybe that's the admin building, but there's something going on Mars. And I've been going back and forth with Richard Hoagland now for years, where Richard, who I know most of you are aware of, is convinced that Mars is covered with ruins. Well, it is. But it's not just ruins. There are things going on that planet, on the surface, under the surface, continuously. Next picture, please. This was published in a German magazine, but this is a Soviet photo. This is from their Phobos 2 spacecraft. This is a city under the surface of Mars that is the size of Chicago. Chicago is one of our biggest cities. Several million people live in Chicago.